Welcome to another Sheen and Tate Future of interview. I'm absolutely delighted to have secured a very busy woman known to many in Scotland, my colleague on the board of ScottishPower Renewables and its Chief Executive, Lindsay McQuade. Welcome, Lindsay. We've had a lot of interest in issues surrounding climate, sustainability. It's obviously to the forefront of a lot of companies at the moment, slightly sidetracked a wee bit in the midst of our COVID pandemic, but actually has benefited greatly in terms of just the reduced travel and all the rest of it. So looking forward to talking to you about that today, and thanks very much for joining us. Maybe I'll just open up, Lindsay, and you and I had the privilege of attending a dinner this year with David Attenborough, and I know that many will have watched the Netflix documentary and the BBC piece, but actually that issue about how we're feeling about the planet, how businesses are contributing to sustainability, and the role of renewable energy and all of that is to the fore. So maybe just open with your thoughts on that, Lindsay.
Yeah, okay, so good afternoon everybody, and thank you for inviting me along to speak, yeah, just a great topic, obviously one that I'm very well versed in, having lived and breathed the renewable sector and energy sector for over 20 years. And as Lena has introduced very beautifully and eloquently, there has been, I would say, an increased level of awareness and consciousness of the climate emergency and of our responsibility collectively as society, and businesses having a part in that, individual households having a part in that as well, about how we're going to address all of that. So those images and the cinematography, incredibly powerful in communicating that message. And I think for me, that's given every household in the country a sense of why I do what I do and the business that I lead, and why the people that work in that business are so committed to that future vision, and we have been for quite some time. So it's a massive opportunity, and I think presents a challenge that we can rise to, and something the renewables sector will be absolutely central in addressing and hopefully resolving some of those challenges.
Yes, and in terms of specifically, ScottishPower Renewables is a very large investor, and also, investing in the kind of innovation that's necessary around this. Just sum up what the business is doing in Scotland and the rest of the UK.
Yeah, okay, so I mean, you talk about innovation. If I take this back to our first wind farms, some of them were incredibly small, would have powered a couple of households for a year or so, year after year. Now we've got Whiteley Wind Farm, the largest wind farm in the UK, which would power the equivalent of Glasgow, and has powered the equivalent of Glasgow for a number of years now. You've got technologies like that really expanding, and that's just on the wind side. I think for me, what's really exciting is the capability of that technology is also advancing. So it's not just about the power export, it's not just about those megawatt hours, it's about the physics of power, and those other services that will help balance the grid, maintain resilience of the grid, and ensure that we keep power flowing to homes and businesses all the way across the country. And then the other thing that's really exciting for me is how we're going to bring other technologies alongside wind generation. So again, some of the clients might be aware of our super battery, and that will also be located at Whiteley, but that's one of a number of battery projects that we're developing and investing in. And that will help smooth out that profile of wind generation, because we know, for all that we live in Scotland, the wind does not blow continuously. It comes and goes, just the same way the rain doesn't necessarily always fall either, and the sun most certainly doesn't always shine. But if we have that mix of technologies with storage, I think we're going to have a much more resilient, a cost-reflective system, a cost-effective system as well, with storage and renewables providing clean, green electricity to homes and businesses across the country.
Yeah, and I think the couple of things you raised there I did want to come to, and it was kind of the development of technology, but also the cost. I mean, at the moment, businesses are really, they're trying to do the best, but they're also trying to really rein in costs and, stay alive during this current, climate. Are you finding that the cost curve is at the point where it makes sense for businesses to be utilising, wholly or mostly renewable energy in their business?
Yes, I think for us, what we've seen in onshore wind and then offshore wind is that technology and rapid learning leads to a rapid fall in the cost of that technology. And that ultimately means that we have invested in that learning, and now we can, if you like, make money back from it. We get the benefit of it, we cash back in. I think in terms of where do you buy your cheapest energy right now, electricity to an extent is still very commoditised. There is a mix of sources of energy to make the electricity that we all use in our homes and in our businesses as well. But that increasingly renewables is becoming the most cost competitive element of that electricity flow. And if you have got green electricity flowing to you, you can be assured that that's coming from a cost base and a nature of electricity that is very, very cost effective. There's been auctions that the government have run over recent years, and again, the outputs of those auctions have been described as breathtaking because they've always surpassed the expectations of where analysts would have seen those auctions out turning. And I think that's just reflective of the fact that there is a strong competitive element. There is investability in this technology. It's now very proven. It's viewed as being low risk or lower risk than it had previously because the technology works. We're familiar with the environment. The market mechanisms are familiar to financiers and the like as well. And we have confidence in the product. And as we continue to advance and develop and innovate around that established technology, we're going to see that grow and grow as well. So very exciting times for us at Renewables.
And any tips for businesses on how to procure well, and both in terms of assuring the green credentials, the sustainability credentials, but also cost?
Yeah, so I think obviously, well, within ScottishPower Renewables, we are a supplier to our retail business, but we're also we also work with others in the industry as well. And in terms of how we procure our goods and services, sustainability and green credentials are always up there as well. So we are not just asking ourselves to reflect on our sustainability and our greenness, if you like. We want that from our supply chain as well, and driving that into your supply chain and that culture and behaviour of looking for what are sustainable solutions at a cost-effective price is something that has allowed us to come down that cost curve I've just spoken about and provide that cheaper electricity. In terms of others, in terms of procurement policies and strategies, that's something that we do. Others may choose to do that as well, but I think it's something that it changes how you then think about what you're procuring and how you are procuring it, because you don't necessarily want the cheapest. You want something that's going to be sustainable, replicable, something that's going to continue to deliver value to you and not just in that one instant. And I think that your procurement strategy has to be built from a sustainable foundation as well. You hear about large corporates doing the same with their supply chain, and it is very much designed to drive a culture of that mindset as you're going out to market and looking for something that is going to drive a greener view and a greener supply chain going forward as well.